everybody. So you can see here I have a Lenovo laptop. It's the Lenovo Legion 7 Slim AMD version. So they shipped it right in the box, which is, you know, not nice if you were trying to give this as a gift, but and then they also had some nice tape sealed everywhere, so it's kind of, you know, I guess secure, but it's the first time I'm opening it. Let's see what we have in here. Let's see if I can put this phone down. Okay, so this actually does come with padding, which is nice. The last couple ones I've had didn't have any padding. This is the this right here is the power brick, which is huge, and it's really heavy. So let's see what we have here. Full-size cable like you'd find on a desktop computer. That's surprising. That's surprising. And then the actual power brick here, which is also massive. So this thing is gigantic. What do we got for wattage here? 230 watts. So that's pretty crazy. So this was manufactured, according to this, in November of 2022. It's a pretty big power brick. I'm not sure if you can use a smaller one and trickle charge, but this is pretty big and really heavy. So that's it reminds me of the old days, like with my compact Presario R3000Z, I think is what it was, with the AMD Athlon 64, one of their first 64-bit ones or something like that. That was pretty cool. But that power brick was gigantic, bigger than this, but this brings me back to those days. The power cable's nuts. So I haven't seen one of these on a laptop in forever, or ever maybe. And then it has a proprietary connector. So, and that's funny because that's definitely Lenovo's been using a proprietary connector for a while, because I know that one of my old laptops for work from like 2015 or something has that connector. So, although obviously that power would not be able to power this laptop because it's much less powerful. So then the rest that we have in the box is just the laptop, and then some nice things thrown in there. So not a lot to show in the box. I think the Asus ROG definitely wins presentation there, although I will say I do like these cushioning here that the Asus did not come with. Okay. As you can see, I've already put plenty of fingerprints on it because this is a smudge magnet. Probably easy to clean, I would guess, but basically let's look at the outside first. So the back, we have these ports right here. So we have an HDMI, we have two USB-As. This one has a battery icon, so I'm not sure if that means that you can charge it via that, or if it's always connected to the battery, like you can charge your phone when your backpack is in the or your laptop is in the backpack, which my Spectre can do. So maybe that's the same thing, like when it's off, or if it's just a battery indicator. I'm not really sure, but there we have that. Here we have our power input. This is their proprietary connector. It's like a square. It's been this way on many Lenovos. Of course, older Lenovo chargers are not going to charge this because it's a 230 watt power supply. On this side, the left side, we have the vent again. So this is all brushed aluminum, which is fantastic. It feels very solid. So we have our, whatever CPU or GPU vent on this side. And like you can see the heat sinks, the fins right in there. Then we have two USB-Cs. On the front, we have nothing. We have a little lip to open the lid. It says Legion there. I don't know if you can see that. And then on the other side, we have a full-size SD card reader, another vent for either the CPU or the GPU. I'm not sure which side is which. We have a camera shutter toggle, so that's to turn off your camera. Honestly, it's an electronic switch, so I know a lot of people probably still don't trust it. I will say that I've tried toggling it, and it does seem to make it so that the computer doesn't even realize you have it connected. So take that with a grain of salt, but again, it's you know, it's electronic switch, so if you're really worried about somebody spying on you, you're probably still going to want to get the thing that you tape over the top of it. I mean, I don't really care, but I know a lot of people do. And then we also have a headphone jack. The cool thing, as others have mentioned about this, is the way the screen is, I mean, they've said it's not necessarily cool, but the way the screen is not flush with the bottom. So it kind of looks like it sets up on a desk, or a deck, I should say. So like we have this big lip in the back, which is really nice. Makes it really easy to open. And then also that continues on the sides. So like there's a definitely recessed bit for the screen. I think that's because they know if you drop this by accident, they don't want it to hit your screen. Like they don't want to put any pressure on the screen. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I assume is the reason behind it. Definitely no issue as far as I'm concerned. Let's open it up and see. We'll see the inside. So we had it in sleep mode. So you can see right here, the keyboard does light up. Touchpad is not that large, although it's not small, to be honest. People say it's small. I think it just takes a little getting used to. So I've noticed that what people say, there's not a lot of room after the touchpad. So to use the touchpad effectively, unless you're a thumb touchpad user, which might be honestly what they were thinking, because I know they had the little nipple thing, so natively your palm went like that. But so I do find myself using my thumb or my finger like this and then my hand off of the laptop. So bear that in mind. It could be, in my opinion, should be shifted up a little more so you can have a little something to rest your palm on below it. But it's not really that big of a deal. You know, especially because you're not ever going to be gaming with it. For the keyboard, we do have the normal size keys on the left. The number pad is a full number pad, but they are smaller keys, which is actually pretty nice because you're not going to use it that often, but it's still nice to have it for data entry. Say if you use this for work or, you know, hotkey for, I don't know, Fortnite or something like that. It's a nice metal feeling. I think it is. I think this whole thing is aluminum, so it's a nice metal deck. There's very little flex. Again, people talk about that. I'm not sure what that matters too much, for flex at least. Something that I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but there's a gap on the space bar, so I'm not sure if that was intentional or if something's out down there. To be honest, like you can see that there's a big gap of light down there, so I'm not really sure. It doesn't bother me that much, but it's something, if it's broken, it would bother me. If it's a design choice, it doesn't bother me. There is a webcam on this one. It's supposed to be 1080p. It does not have the Windows facial recognition for logging in. It does have a fingerprint reader in the power button. That's pretty quick. Let's close it up again just to talk about the material. So again, it's aluminum all the way around. The only thing I've found quality-wise so far on this laptop is this right here. So it's clearly loose, and I can press in on it. Let me see if I can do it without breaking the laptop. So I don't know if you can hear it. Probably not. How did I do this before? Was it standing up? Clearly I'm full of it. So either way, maybe I was able to push it back in. I had it, and maybe the laptop has to be open? No? Okay. Well, hey, I'm not going to complain about that. It was making a noise when I pushed the bottom, and it felt like there was a tab that wasn't in place. Felt like I could push it in, but it wasn't getting picked up. So it didn't impact functionality. Like, it didn't ever wobbled, although my table may or may not be flat where I have it set up right now, but it didn't wobble like the G14 did. So it doesn't bother me too much, but that was definitely a quality issue that I had originally found. Apparently it disappeared. I think it's still there. It's just temporarily pushed in from when I was trying it. But so, like you can see here, people always like, can you open it with one hand? And the answer is yes, 100%. You can open it with one hand. It's very easy to open with one hand. I mean, they're very tight hinges, but this is a nice solid base, and that little extra behind the screen makes it so that you're not going to pop it forward. It's like a little like a kickstand almost. And then the speakers are up here. There may be speakers on the bottom as well. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there definitely are. I think these are, because I know I lifted it up and it was a different sound than when it's on the desk. However, I will say, I think it sounds better when it's on the desk because I feel like those speakers are designed to not be firing directly at you. I think they're designed to be down firing. And then, you know, they make it so that they sound good getting reflected underneath the laptop. Although when you're gaming, you're probably going to be using a headset anyways. Let's just log in really quick. So here we have the page for the Lenovo. This is the, yeah, no, you don't need to help me. This is what I purchased. So I purchased the mid-level one. Again, this has the Ryzen 6800H processor. The G14 that I had reviewed had the 6900, the Ryzen 9 6900HS, which I think is a little bit more geared towards efficiency than that HX you see. But it actually performed just as well in benchmarks as the 6900HX. Again, this one's the 6800H though, because the pricing was, you know, what made the most sense. I mean, if you look at it right here, $1349. So this makes no sense right now because $50 cheaper and it's much worse because this has the 6600H, 6600S, I'm sorry, which is much worse, half the VRAM. And then this one is $600 more, so obviously it doesn't make any sense because I'm pretty sure the only real difference that you're getting here is the processor, and the processor is not really that important from the 6800H to the 6900HX. So I went with the middle one with all these features. So it has 6800S. It unfortunately has Windows 11 Home. It has this nice screen here, which is 2560 by 1600. It is 1610 aspect ratio. It's a pretty good screen. I think the G14 had a very good screen too. Maybe thinking that that one's better. Smaller screen, so it may look crisper, but it definitely looked like it had better colors. But both of them get equally as bright. So the G14 and this both had a peak of 500 nits and a 400 net HDR. So this is slightly faster. That was a 120 hertz panel. This is 165. I don't think it really matters between the two, except that this one will use more battery life. But you can put this in 60 hertz mode to save battery life, which is how I'll be using it most of the time. So keyboard RGB backlight. So I actually didn't know this had RGB because all the reviews, as you can see right here, all the reviews have white backlight because they have this one with the 6900HX. I'm not sure why the more expensive one only has white. I mean, I don't know if this counts as blue or white. I'll let you decide. It looks blue to me, but you can change the colors by this. So right now is it off or? Okay, so that's like a wave function. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Then we have Christmas lights. I don't know what these would be, like a waterfall maybe. Then we have, is this music? And then there's also this one. Kind of useless, but kind of cool. And then the base one right here, number one, is a color wheel, which is what I'll keep it on majority of the time, because it's not that obtrusive and I like the way it looks. You know, I may go back to more of just a standard blue. I'm not sure if there's an off. There is a brightness here, so let's see if that works. Yeah, you just do the brightness down if you don't want it. So there you have it. There are other hotkeys on this thing, and they are FN. So if you hold the FN key, see as I have right here, it highlights all of your your options with the FN, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. So FN and then Q changes the mode. So this is quiet mode now. If you hit it again, it goes auto, and then again should be performance mode. Or I skipped something, or I just went too fast for the on-screen display to catch up. Oh, I'm on battery. Okay, so if I weren't on battery, there would be performance mode. R is the refresh rate of the monitor. So 165 hertz right now, 60 hertz. I don't know if there's only two options. Yeah, we'll put it on 165 hertz. And then U is, I don't know, lights on the back. Yeah, I guess that's it. But either way, I did notice those stayed on during sleep. So that's about it for the actual, externals and features of the keyboard. I ran the Passmark, so let's see that Passmark right now, and I think you're going to be happy with it. Okay, so you can see right here, we have our Passmark. A little bit surprising here. This is a lot better than the G14, if I remember correctly. The processor, 25,076, way higher. I believe we were around 24,000, maybe even lower on the G14, even though that one had a more powerful processor. Graphics is a little surprising as well. We were a lot higher. We were 18,000 for 3D Mark. On this almost. I think we were around 14 or 15 on the G14. I'll pop up the other one so that we can actually check that pretty quickly. Memory mark and disk mark I think were very similar. I don't think overall we were that much higher. In total, Passmark were very close. And I was a little wrong on the CPU. So 24/7. Can I make this one size? One side? Okay, so I have it pulled up side by side. So this was the G14 over on the right. This is the Legion 7 Slim on the left that we just saw run. So you can see it's pretty similar, and I expected that. I honestly didn't expect the CPU to be better on the Legion because it's supposed to be worse. So this is 6800H versus 6900HS on the G14. And as we can see, both of them outperformed their average benchmark. According to the website, this significantly did. This was supposed to be 23,000 something, so 25,000, which is amazing. I mean, that's as good as the average Passmark for the 12700. So, mind blown on that. Graphics was way better on the Legion 7, according to Passmark, which is a great sign because the 6700S was already perfectly great on playing games. Like you saw the video of playing Fortnite on the high settings with high resolution, and it handled it like a champ. So I'm excited to see how this does, given that it did perform much better in the 3D graphics. Memory, about the same. Again, it's surprising how bad that is in terms of the percentile. Well, maybe the memory capacity matters more than I think it does rather than speed, because these are only 16. Both of these only had 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. And then the disk mark. So This can probably go up and down depending on every time you run it, but obviously it doesn't really make a difference. Both very fast drives. The G14 drive was extremely fast, and this one is as well. So yeah, slightly better for the Legion 7 Slim, but probably near as makes no difference between two systems. This is definitely a larger laptop, as it definitely feels larger. It is larger. It is loud, as you can hear. I'm sure you can hear those fans. But the vents, I'm not sure why it's so loud, to be honest. The air coming out of the vents right now over here on either side is actually really cold. So it might just be because I switched it into performance mode, which has the fans auto go full all the time. Okay, so now that the Passmark's out of the way, let's try a game here. See what they do. I would like to find the best settings. That's what I did with the G14. Oh no. Alright. I'm going to have to download Save the World. Yep. I will be right back. This is actually a good example of how good the wireless goes on this laptop. So I have wireless AC. I do not have AX, which this laptop does have, or 6E, whatever you want to call it. But so there you go. It's running at 34 megabytes per second, which is, I don't know what that ends up being. 300 Mbps, I guess, because 8 times, right? So, or 280, something like that. But that's pretty good considering I have 300 megabits per second internet speed. Yeah, so, and my network, my AC is probably 600 max, maybe. But so to utilize that and then utilize the full internet speed is quite impressive. So the Wi-Fi works very nice on this. I'm not sure about latency, ping, but at least throughput is doing very well. The G14 had the exact same experience. So both of them have good wireless as far as I'm concerned. I know people are saying that one of the manufacturers of the chip in the G14 was MediaTek and was subpar, but that might have been on the early releases. But you can see it just literally downloaded this entire thing in a minute and a half. So, okay, so we're in my Storm Shield in Plankerton. This one's pretty well defended. Let's just do a war game. How about we do? Can I do nothing here? Fine with that. Again, this is on Epic settings, or let's just show you right here so you can see. This is at 2560 times 1600. Unlimited frame rate, just to see what we get. DirectX 12. Epic quality presets. TSR high, recommended, temporal, super resolution, Epic, ambient occlusion, screen space. So it's pretty high settings here. This was all what they selected. And you can see up in the top right here, is the frames per second. So right now we're getting about 100. There's not really any action happening, so I guess that's to be expected. But we normally get about 100 during this as well, so far that I've experienced. I tried this earlier, and you could hear my controller clicking as I was playing, which was annoying for me as I was watching the video back when I was editing. So I decided to try and do it again with my controller underneath the table because I didn't want to watch it, so you guys probably wouldn't want to watch that. Let me switch the volume back on. I don't know if you can hear right now. Can you hear the sound, actually? So what you're hearing right now is the fans the fan noise, and these are loud fans. I would say the G14 is equally as loud, but you can judge the video yourself. I will say when I was gaming on the G14 in the previous video, the fans did not seem to be on as much as they are now. This is in auto mode right now. It's not on quiet mode, but you wouldn't probably game on quiet mode, but it's on auto mode, which means it's supposed to change the power and fans, you know, once it identifies that you're gaming, rather than performance mode, which is just like full fans the whole time. So obviously it has identified that we're gaming, and the fans are high, but obviously there's no sound here. You've been wearing a headset. Normally with the headset on you can't hear it. I asked somebody I was gaming with if they could hear it, and they said no. So the fans are a little bit louder in the video than they are for me, because you're in between me and the laptop. You're about, I don't know, the camera's about 18 inches from the screen, so it's definitely closer than a normal person would be sitting, unless you have this like on your, I guess on your lap on a couch or something like that, in which case you're going to want those fans because it's going to be hot. But this does a really good job of handling this game. I mean, these tire drop traps are supposed to be really bad, and I think they might be if they all go off at the same time. Like, let's go over here and see if we have any issues. I mean, not really. Not so far, at least. But people say that, you know, you can really glitch the game out by using the tire drop traps. I mean, you can see they're kind of laggy there. But as far as the actual performance of the game, like, that didn't even look like it was on my system, because like my frame rates didn't drop. Like, the tires themselves were just kind of laggy. But this is, again, I normally play on performance mode on the desktop just because the graphic drivers were pretty bad. But this looks great, to be honest. Very, just like the G14 was, like, it's a totally different experience where with all the shadows and the lighting effects. This is a war game, so it's not quite as crazy as a Storm Shield Defense, which is what the G14 video was on. I did do one of those in this, and I'll put a little clip of that. Again, it was just, I decided I would do a more complete video without my, hopefully without my controller clicking, because it was super annoying. And just to give you more of an experience in this. And again, watch those FPS at the top. It looks like it's around 90 to 100, which is fantastic. I mean, this is not a easy thing to run on these settings. On this resolution, too. And again, you could always reduce the resolution. You could always reduce the resolution or the quality settings, or put it on performance mode if you had a lot of issues. The speakers are pretty good. They are 2 top firing and 2 down firing from what I can tell. They sound better if you have it on a desk than if you lift it up. I think they're intended to be down firing so they bounce off the table. I could be wrong. Could be wrong on that, but... Oh, see, I double jumped, or quadruple jumped. But this is on about 40% volume right now. Again, you're closer to it, so it's going to sound louder for you than it does for me. But it's perfectly loud enough to hear the game at 40%. It sounds very clear. The screen brightness is... Let me check this right now, actually. All the way. It gets pretty dark. Yeah. Wow, okay, so... I don't know what the temperature is on this laptop because I don't have a way of testing that, but I will say right here, the top button, when I just hit that FM button for the brightness, it is extremely hot. I'm guessing that's where the GPU is, or the CPU is. I know they're back there somewhere, but that's very hot to the touch. And again, we are on a desk, so this is like an ideal location other than being on a cooling pad. But if you need a cooling pad for this laptop, which, again, things can run hot, and that's not a problem. Like, my desktop runs around 82 is probably about where it sits. It has an AIO, so it has a liquid cooling, all-in-one thing. And it runs about 82 under long gaming. So it's not exactly cold. And I think that the max temp, and that's my CPU. My GPU runs a lot colder than that normally. It might have a T-max, like a junction max of higher than that, but the overall average is not bad. It's like 70 something, but either way. So I think that the max on this CPU on the laptop is 90 or 95, so it's pretty good, and they're meant to run that. So I'm not necessarily like what's hot to the touch. I mean, what 90 degrees Celsius is what 200 degrees almost, or is it 200 degrees? No, I think 100 degrees Celsius is 212, right? I'm not sure, but regardless, it's pretty hot to the touch anyway. But that's not necessarily hot for the processor. And it's not like it's crazy hot, like it was just hot to the touch. It's not like I burned myself. But, I bet if I were gaming on my lap, it would be a very uncomfortable experience. But I would also probably advise against that, because you want to have your laptop have adequate cooling. Like, it may not need a cooling pad, but I think it definitely needs a hard surface if you're going to do some serious gaming. I'm not gonna switch it. I was gonna switch it to performance mode, but I can't remember if switching it to performance mode would screw something up with the game, or switch it into silent mode, which might really screw something up with the game. And then I will say this is on 165 hertz right now for the monitor, so it's the fastest setting. As you know, there's a 60 hertz monitor or 60 hertz setting as well, which would help you with battery life. I see. One thing I gotta remember with these war games is that if you die, it's over, which is very annoying. Because I usually I'm not a really good. I don't really follow my health bar that too often, but. Doesn't actually matter if I die in this one. Yeah, so let's get a good, nice run around here, see. So the frames per second, if you can see up at the top, with all this activity, it's about 70. Well, I mean, it's going back up now, but 70, I'd say, is about where it is. And that's still more than enough. Anything above 60, I mean, anything above like 50, I wouldn't say I even noticed. Because again, the G14, there were times when it dropped to like 56 or something like that, and it still looked fine to me. But yeah, I mean, I would say this can more than handle this game, again, on these pretty high settings, with, again, this high resolution. I don't know if having the monitor on 165 hertz would impact the performance. I don't think so. I think it's whatever we set the frame rate to in the game. It's currently unlimited. When it was recommended, and I don't know if this is just the default in Fortnite, but recommended it was at 60, so, which might be, because it obviously can't hold 120. So maybe it was saying 60 is the level it can hold consistently. But that was the recommended limit that was set when I first installed the game. Not bad. I mean, plenty of frames per second there, and it all looks amazing in these quality settings. I'd say the negative there is still the temperature and the fan noise, but that's fully to be expected, the fan noise. The air coming out is hot now on both sides. The button is less hot. Speakers are insane. So up here, this by far, right, this must be where the heat pipe is, because right here is extremely hot. It's also metal, so that would make sense. In the back, there are vents. Nothing's blocking it, so like there is a gap between this mat and the back of the laptop. I made sure about that. But so it is quite hot, even on a desk. So be mindful of that. But it's a gaming laptop, so what do you expect? Yeah, but so, I mean, I'd say it's a really good experience on the game with a controller. I wouldn't recommend using the keyboard and a mouse pad. You could probably use the keyboard with a regular mouse rather than the trackpad, but I would say not, you know, obviously it's a gaming laptop, so don't use the trackpad to game. So, straight away with temperatures, it just boom straight to 96 degrees on the CPU as soon as Fortnite started. You see it's hovering around 89, 88. So I mean, as long as it stays under 90, I'm happy. I think that's acceptable. 96 is pretty hot, and I think it just bumped up to that momentarily before the fans really spooled up. As you can see, the power draw for the CPU is 66 watts right now. We're going to try it under game and see how high it goes. I'm going to keep those on top. GPU is... I guess it's that SoC temperature, system on a chip. Maybe. That's not what it's called on my desktop, but we're going to assume that that's what that is. That's 58, 59 degrees Celsius. Okay, now it's 65. It's all over the place, but yeah, we'll see what we do on here when we play a game. Okay, so as you can see, max 97 temp, which is not bad. I saw 68 watts on the CPU, just briefly. GPU draw, we'll switch all these to max to see actually what they ran at for temperature and so max of 79 on the CPU, GPU max of 77, which is a lot. CPU max temp according to this was 96.5, so yeah, there, that lines up. System memory max of 13 gigs. I guess this, see this core, the GPU clock's not overclocked, obviously, it's out at 2200, you know, I think my 6900 XT runs at 2600, I think, is what I have it set to overclock to, which is not bad. I think it's out of the box 2300, so I mean, these are pretty comparable, to be honest. And that's not bad, you know, like these temperatures, the 97 peak is kind of alarming, but it was brief, and then, you know, it settled in right around high 70s, which is about my desktop does as well. The fans are obviously loud, but it's definitely not danger levels as long as it stays below 90 consistently. I mean, wow, 127. So in the loading screen, it definitely does pull a lot more power. So 127 watts for the CPU draw, that's crazy. The GPU, I think, does not do that. Yeah, 32 watts for that. But so, I mean, that's nuts. So no wonder why the heat pops up during the loading screens. I'm not really sure why. I guess it just doesn't have anything to do. But I will do a battery test, battery gaming test to see if any of that changes. And then that's about it. I'll try and extrapolate a little bit of the battery draw to see what we can get under normal circumstances, and I guess under gaming too. I'm not going to do a full drawdown test because there are other reviews that do that as well, but I obviously want to give some data points because there's a little bit of a varying opinion on what actually the battery life of this laptop is. You know, some say 4 hours, some say 9 hours, so I will do a bit of that. Okay, so we have 94% remaining. The time is 11:57. We're about to start gaming. Again, this is starting the game on battery power. We'll do one game and see how far down it gets. 94% was what it was when I unplugged the laptop. Probably because I had that setting on where I told it to not charge all the way when it's plugged in to save the battery health. But either way, so we'll start with 94% and see how far it drops. Okay, so you can already see straight away the frame rate is much less. 33 frames per second is our low right now. So it's pretty bad. I haven't changed any settings. This is on battery power, so we're in the 40s now. But still nothing close to the 90, 100 that we were getting on power. Our power draw is 44 watts to 48 watts on the CPU, so significantly less. And on the GPU, 23 watts, also significantly less. And I don't know if you can see the shadows are kind of goofy. I don't know what that... And there's definitely some delay. So it's probably, you know, if you're going to game... It just can't handle the same settings. That is a much different experience than it is plugged in. Personally, it doesn't necessarily bother me because I can't really see myself doing any gaming on battery. Not like this, at least. Yikes. It is a much different experience. Let me make sure that we are on auto. Yeah, we were on auto. You can't do full performance mode on battery. It's still struggling. Again, these are very high settings, though, on this crazy resolution, so I'm guessing that we can easily fix this by changing the resolution from 1600p to 1080p. I mean, it's a small enough screen that you probably won't notice any difference, to be honest. I also wouldn't call this unplayable, but I would certainly not call this a good experience. And I think that I should probably check. I mean, you can see it for yourself. It's a much different experience than it was plugged in. I didn't actually try. I'm going to lose this because I haven't searched anything or gathered rocks. But I didn't actually try the G14 on battery gaming. While I'm here editing the video, I saw that the recording cut short of the battery life test, unfortunately. It was 66%, and I think that was about 14 minutes, if I remember correctly. So it took 94% to 66% in 14 minutes, which is about 28%. That means you're going to get about 50 minutes of battery life while you're gaming. And again, you know, this was Fortnite, so it was a pretty demanding game. I think you can rectify that by lowering the resolution, lowering the brightness, lowering the quality settings, which I'd recommend doing at least the resolution or the quality settings just for gameplay reasons, because it was around 30 frames per second, 30, 35, something like that. As a segue into the next clip, I don't think this is as thin of a laptop as they claim it is. So seriously though, just to wrap this up, I just checked it. It's supposed to be 0.67 inches. Did they lying here? I mean, it might be the back portion is 0.67. Well, that looks like 0.75 to me. But yeah, this is definitely the slim. It doesn't bother me too much, but in no way, shape, or form is this anywhere close to 0.67 inches. It's just not. I mean, okay, so if we look at it, even not including the feet, it's that must be, that's a little shifty in my opinion. I mean, the feet add 1/4 of an inch, and they're not including them. So, I mean, that works on the G14 because it has the kickstand, which props it up. But in my opinion, if it's not that, if it should be the total height, you know? It should be the total height of the actual laptop, not just what it is, you know? Because, like, if you have a spot that's only 0.75, you're not getting this in there. It's like it needs to be an inch because of the feet. So just be mindful of that. But, I mean, again, it doesn't matter much to me because this isn't going to be leaving my house too often. I don't fly anywhere. And this is really, I mean, I don't fly anywhere as much anymore. What it really is going to be used for when I do travel for a long period of time. That way I don't have to bring an Xbox or something because I can't obviously bring my big gaming computer. I don't really need to. A little bit of flex underneath it, but it's clearly metal. This is a clearly metal plate, so that makes sense. But there you go, guys. I mean, I'm happy with it overall. I'm disappointed in the battery performance while gaming, but again, I think that's probably very similar on most gaming laptops, and I think that you can rectify that by lowering the resolution or the quality settings. Performance, battery doesn't matter much to me. I mean, I expected about an hour gaming because it just uses a lot of power. I mean, the power brick is 230 watts, so what were you expecting? Build quality seems very good. This bottom piece is a little flimsier than I wanted, but it is definitely metal, so, and then to keep the lightness down, like it's not going to crack or anything, but it's definitely got some flex in it. I didn't notice any flex on the sides. I love the brushed aluminum panels, and the ports are great. You know, 2 USB-A's, 2 USB-C's, a full-size SD slot, and a microphone headphone jack. I love the RGB on the keyboard. I wasn't expecting that. The screen is great. I think the G14 screen looks better. It pops better with the colors, although both of them are plenty bright. I mean, 400 to 500 nits for both of them. So I think that's definitely worthwhile. The speakers, pretty good. I think they're laptop speakers, but they're nothing, you know, to complain about, especially on a laptop this thin. Even though we know with the feet it's not thin. Touchpad is good. I think that it needs to be moved forward closer to the keyboard so there's something to rest your palm on. It doesn't bother me that it's a little off center. I think the number pad is a great addition. Smaller buttons, smaller keys than the rest of the keyboard, but that makes sense since people aren't going to be using it. Again, I paid, well, we'll see. I'll assume that I'll get my cash back from Rakuten, in which case I paid about $1,050 or 1,030 or 1,050, I'm not sure, before tax, for this laptop, which is why I bought it in the first place, because I was, you know, I had originally bought the G14. It had the little wobbling issue. I would have just bought another one of those if Best Buy had those in stock. They didn't, so I just decided I would let that one go and see what else there was out there. And then I stumbled upon this one. I actually saw this in the Best Buy store and liked the brushed aluminum, so that's part of the reason why I went for it. I was not as impressed with the Spectre, the new Spectre's build quality, which is why I didn't just jump straight to buy that, because there was another one for $1,000, a 13-inch that obviously not a gaming laptop, but it didn't really, like, you know, it didn't really do anything for me for $1,000. I want to have some special purpose, and it kills me that we have to spend over $1,000 just to get a well-built laptop. I mean, again, my Dell that I reviewed in this channel 2 years ago, great specs, poor build quality, and that's the reason I had to get a new laptop. Was the touchpad, you could click it from the bottom, and it just finally got to me. So And that wasn't even that cheap. You know, specs wise, like MSRP for that was over $1,000 with the processor and the RAM and the storage. And it was a touchscreen, you know, great screen. It's still an aluminum shell, but it was just, you know, whatever reason they just designed it poorly. But it kills me that we have to spend $1,000 to get a well-built machine. You know, with sticker price way higher than that. But that seems to be the reality now, especially if you want one with high performance, which they don't really offer good quality laptops with low performance. You know, I mean, you'll probably have to probably get a good quality build with a lower performance for $800. But like I said, the Spectre had nothing really too great performance-wise. The one that not the 16-inch that I had originally ordered, that one had a 2700H, so it was really good processor if it had booted. But it was also 16-inch, so it was just as big as this one, and it felt really weird having that in a 2-in-1, but I would have kept that if it had booted probably, because I liked it. It had a very premium feel. But the little 13-inch Spectre, that was $1,000, nothing special. It was a 1355p, so about 8,000 worse Passmark, so 17,000 or so, versus 25,000 on this one, and gaming obviously nowhere to be found because it's not a gaming laptop. But other than that, though, I do think this is worth buying, this laptop, if you can get it around what I paid for it. I don't think I would pay. I honestly don't think I would pay $1,400 for this like it is right now, or $1,350. Not for anything that it's not worth it, because I think it is. I just don't value the gaming laptop enough to do that. Like, $1,000 was the sweet spot, because I think that's, like I said, that's about what you can pay for a quality laptop, but you have to pay for it. So, but for $1,400, the Spectre would have been what I bought for $1,000, just because I don't value the gaming part of it enough to spend that extra money. And the processors are even $17,000 for the 1355 is plenty. You know, that's a lot for a processor, just not for gaming. But again, for if you can get this for close to $1,000, I'd say absolutely go for it, because build quality has been fantastic, and the experience has been fantastic plugged in. Just be mindful of that gaming experience when you're on battery, because it's gonna definitely need some tweaking to put the settings down there. But yeah, if you like this review, I mean, I know I don't really beg for them, but please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm so close to 1,000. And it would be really, really awesome to get to that after this review.